toll along the climbing way, with painful steps and slow. Look now, for glad and golden hours come swiftly on the wing, and rest beside the weary road and hear the angels sing. Hear the angels sing. Hear the angels sing.
For lo, the days are hastening on, by prophets seen of old, when with the ever-circling years will come the time foretold, when peace shall over all the earth its ancient splendor reveal. The whole world sends back the song which now the angels sing. Hear the angels sing. The angels sing. Hear 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 the angels sing.
We are a people of ritual. We are a people who see connections in our world that surrounds us. We see the sacred, and we long to encounter that sacred in images and situations and circumstances. But one of the places that we really find that connection to a sacredness that extends beyond ourselves, but one that's born in history, one that lifts up the common experience of the human and allows us to get a glimpse of what life was like even thousands and thousands of years ago. It has to do with space. When we think about sacred space, we realize that we're drawn to a particular spot because we find a worship opportunity, or perhaps we have a great memory there, or maybe even sometimes it's to go and to reflect upon our lives in a cemetery or in a place where we grew up, to see where we've been and not only where we are, but where we're going. That's the amazing power that comes from being those who look for the sacred. Drawn to its sacred space, Ann and I had the privilege of going to Israel and being with Alex and standing in the Manger Square. It's a place where thousands of Christians gather on Christmas Eve night, and they have the chance to not only sing carols and celebrate Mass, but remember that special experience of Christ coming into the world. The entrance into the Basilica is a gate that's about 4 by 3.5 feet. It's very short. You have to bend over to get in, and there's a reason for that. There was a day when, of course, those who long to pillage and burn, and the basilica has been burned and destroyed a couple times, they would, of course, cart all the precious artifacts out. And so in order to keep the looters out, the doors were made smaller. But it eventually grew to mean something else as well. And that had to do with those who would come into sacred spaces, and oftentimes to show their mastery over creation, they would ride in on their horses. The door of humility is designed to not only equalize the opportunity to come into this sacred space, but to also remind even those in power that they are subject to a God whose love and whose grace will demand of them fealty. So, The door of humility is a reminder that no matter where we are or what our stations in life, we will have to at some point bow before the great gift of even a humble child born in a manger. When you enter the basilica, it's a beautiful sight, and you'll see some more of that in our next video tomorrow. But it is a place whereby we come with a sense of sacredness, and we understand that even though it's changed over the years, there's a powerful presence that is met in this space. Remember, the power of humility is the very beginning of wisdom. And so, of course, as we're reminded of this wonderful sacred space, we recognize to get in, we have to be ready to supplicate ourselves before God. We have to be willing to say yes to the yielding of who we are and what we represent, of a God most loving, but yes, also a God who desires a world that is changed for the sake of his kingdom.